Right now, the world feels like a mess. People are frustrated, exhausted, and either glued to the news in outrage or completely checked out, waiting for everything to collapse or magically change. But what if that's exactly the trap? What if waiting for the system to break down or for a new earth to magically appear is actually keeping you powerless? Change isn't happening as fast as people want. And there's a reason for that. Today, I'm going to break down the biggest lie keeping people stuck and, more importantly, how to actually take your power back.
Many of us have realized that the system we live is designed to keep us dependent and stuck. This feeling of powerlessness that we feel a lot of the time is by design. We live in a world with certain structures of power that have been perfected over hundreds, if not thousands of years to keep population compliant and obedient and to maintain society stable. And that same conditioning has been, I want to say, the foundation of what has ended up happening over time continuously with all of us. We are a civilization that unfortunately got used to being to having extracted from us our time, our energy, our attention, our labor. Even our school systems are designed and set up in a way that is so outdated to the world that we live in. Is designed for compliance, obedience, and to follow the rules. Critical thinking, emotional intelligence, personal development is something that is completely outside their radar until they go into life completely unprepared to what is waiting for them out there, which is a system designed to again prey on them a little bit more and more for their compliance and spreading the lie that if you just work hard enough, if you just play by the rules, because by the way, the system really, really wants you to play by the rules. There is a whole industry, I want to say more than one industry. There is a whole machine work behind this idea that if you just play by the rules, if you just do as you're told, if you don't rock the boat, you're just gonna get there. Just work hard. If it's not working, work a little bit harder. And tell me, please, we are in 2025 at the time of filming this video, and young adults are often having to have multiple jobs just to go by. Not because they want to save to buy a flat or a house, because you know what? They are starting to realize they're never gonna be able to afford that. That's absurd. That's the world we live in, where very well educated, young and old adults, people of all ages, very well educated, are having to abandon what they have dedicated years and years to take themselves into high education training and investing time and a lot of money on it, leaving that educational system a lot of the time with a huge debt of student loans. And then they go to the working, market trying to find some sort of career or at least initiate. And what they find is, again, are systems built within systems designed to take advantage of their process that they are going through. So just as a side note, for example, like individuals looking for a job, it doesn't really matter your age, there is a whole industry preying on you. You are unemployed, you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a job, you're not really rich. And if you're seeking the normal mainstream venues to find a job, means you're not a privileged person who have contacts, right? You just have to just do like everybody else and go to the LinkedIn of the world and other places and try your best. And you know why? There is this huge industry preying on you. You know, those so-called coaches and agents, and let me sell you this course, or let me prepare your CV just right, or whatever. I feel disgusted. I think that is appalling that there is so many, and this is just one example. This is just one example I'm giving you. It's just so much more, so much more. And why I'm saying all this? Because I'm fed up. Because I think I'm not alone, because I think a lot of individuals out there are fed up. And I don't mean here, let's start a whole anarchy. No, I'm not an anarchist. I'm an average person who have always paid my taxes, who have always contributed to society, who have played by the rules, who have done what was considered to be the right thing, whatever that is, and who have beaten up a lot in life, who have been taken advantage and passed by in promotions and being made redundant like more than twice, 3 times in total. Since a few years ago, organizations periodically goes to restructuring, and many individuals can no longer be in that safety net that previous generations had, because they knew they would just could like choose a career, study, and follow whatever area of expertise that they are dedicating their time and effort into it, and then choose a career path and stay with it. No. Nowadays, you live about 10, 15, 20 plus lives in one lifetime. Honestly, I have reinvented myself more times than I actually can remember. Remember, if you know who I am, you know that I was born in Brazil. I came to the UK more than 20 years ago. And just my process of coming from Brazil to the UK, I had to abandon a life and experience and working in finance and banking and in decently paid jobs, because I wanted to better my life. I wanted to expand my horizons and be able to travel, because back then the United Kingdom was part of the EU, right? Oh God, if I only knew that they were going to leave eventually. But that's another conversation. But then when I came here, I have to restart it all over again, because guess what? There is a whole system in place that, it tells you, no, you don't have a London experience, so you have to just start from the bottom again, ignore everything you know. And I did. I did play by the rules. And where did that take me? It took me, after passing through one redundancy and staying in a job that, yes, it was a decent organization, but just helped me to pay the bills and pay for a training that I had to add to my expertise, because whatever I had wasn't enough. So I had to spend a ton of money retraining in something else. And then I got another job that seemed all right. And guess what? Oh, COVID hit, right? And then we all know what happened there. And everybody else in our organizations decided that they also, even if they were not necessarily losing money, they wanted to really just restructure their, the whole operations, right? And and I was one of the casualties. But enough about me. I'm talking about you too. I am sure there's a lot of you as well out there who feel as frustrated as I feel, or if not even worse. But you know what? The trap is in this. Can you feel on my voice how frustrated I have been to this point? Can you feel how relatable all this is? There is so many individuals, even more outraged than I am out there, because it's so unfair. It's so unfair. We vote for politicians, regardless of which side you are. It doesn't really matter. We're humans first, right? And that's where I'm coming from here. So I'm not leaning to any side, but a lot of the time we vote for politicians and they say all the things that we want to hear just to get us to vote for them. And then when they're elected, they act like they forgot that we put them there in first place, right? They forgot that the reality is the taxpayer is supposed to be the ones that actually indicate to those politicians the direction they should be going. But no. Once they're there, they become completely out of touch. They occasionally show the face and they make the right sounds to just fool enough a few individuals so that people don't actually create an uprising or something like that. But the reality is they are no longer listening. They don't care anymore. At least in my life in living two different countries, that's the story that I have seen repeated. It feels like it just changed the culture, the language, but there is a lot of similarities, even though I'm talking here about two different completely countries. But the reality is this frustration, this outrage, this feeling I have is also a way that the system use to keep all of us trapped. Think like this. If we are all the time fighting for our survival, struggling with multiple jobs or no job to try to somehow make the ends meet, and if we're also fighting between ourselves to decide who is right and who is wrong, depending on which political party you support, if we're fighting between ourselves because of the color of our skin, because of our race, or because of anything that we have different, who do you think that is serving? I'm not going to name names. If you have a mobile phone, these days you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you have internet connection, you know what I mean. Only those privileged individuals who feel in the world we live in benefit from all of us staying so separated, fighting. And still, within that, another trap starts to raise is that mentality, that feeling that there isn't really enough for everyone. No, everyone is fighting. The scarcity mindset that's set in place. But this, again, has been by design instilled and conditioned into civilizations. I say civilizations because for thousands of years, that's how leaders, or no, I don't want to say leaders, those who were in charge of us, somehow conditioned and used that manipulative strategy to force us to work harder, to force us to be obedient. Because, be careful, there is not enough. You make sure you are grateful for this piece of nothing that I'm giving to you. And they always try also to make that we have options. Oh, we have options. Do you know what? Before, women couldn't even vote. Now women can vote. We can vote as a human being. Oh my God. Right. I'm going to just say something to you. A multi-billionaire can vote, and I, a nobody, unemployed, no money, no connections in my family, can vote too. But there's a huge difference in what we achieve, right? There's a huge difference between me voting and a multi-billionaire. Isn't that so? So just giving us this idea, this fantasy that, oh yeah, we have democracy, we have, we can decide. Well, yeah, it's an illusion that is been going on for quite a while. So I appreciate that many individuals not gonna really be able to see what I'm saying, but I am pretty sure that by now a lot of people are starting to realize what's happening. And along all these points I'm making, you will see that over time, a sense of fear, not just scarcity, as I mentioned, but also fear is also instilled in people. It's like, oh, you know what, if you decide to not engage or not, participate or not comply, just as you're told, something bad is going to happen. You're going to be ostracized, or who knows what could happen to you. There is a lot of fear mongering. There's too much. And some of it is just to monetize on ourselves. A lot of it is to just hook us into a situation where we are giving away our energy. Whether you believe or not in what I'm saying, just please, just try to remember. When you spend a lot of time, if you do, looking at, doom scrolling, just looking at, we just need to look at the news, is enough doom scrolling. You don't need to even go towards the fringes of society. You can just open the news app and start to look. It feels like the world is just going to end tomorrow, right? All of that is just because they believe that is what people want to see. It causes stronger reactions in individuals and therefore get you hooked. But if you look behind that, it does keep you distracted to what really matters, because you are distracted by all the arguments that go on in media and news outlet. Who is right? Who is wrong? who's done the most outrageous thing today in a word. And all those kind of headlines that are all designed to keep you distracted, to use your energy, just sucked in on that. And the point is, the more you do that, the more you gradually feel, first of all, quite exhausted, which is very normal. A lot of us, if we spend a lot of time engaged with that, we leave, we walk feeling exhausted, drained, in a sense of despair, sometimes even down, depressed, because you start to think, oh, what's the point anyway? I can't do anything. I have no power. I'm nobody. I don't know anyone. What can I do? Right? But I'm gonna just propose something. And I personally think that we can shift the way we approach this reality, this construct that we live in. And as long, my personal take is, and trust me, I'm coming from a position where I have been through in the last 5 years, it's been incredibly hard for me. I have been sick. I have lost my job. I have not managed to get a job. And I'm trying to make meaning for myself. I am trying to still figure out how I can make this work for me. So I think I'm not speaking from a position of privilege. I think I'm speaking from a position of experiencing a lot in my life. And what I want to share here today is that while we, as the average person, can't simply opt out because we're not rich enough, we don't have the means, we don't have the connections, and all those people who say that there is no such a thing as good capitalism, that in order to just be authentic, just completely plug off and so on. But you know what? I need an iPhone to film my videos, and I know very well that the iPhone is not sustainably sourced. I do realize that. The reality is, the world we live in, every single thing we have, the clothes we wear, every single thing is coming from non-sustainable sources. Unless you're gonna, plant your own cotton, and from the cotton you're gonna create your own garment, and so on and so forth, and then produce from your own land to have your own food. Unless you're gonna go back to basics like that and disengage completely from any technology, I'm afraid it's quite impossible. And the times we live to not have some form of entanglement in the system. So, and I know that a lot of individuals who are really well-intentioned feel stuck when they have this realization. I can't disengage completely, but at the same time, I realize the system is rigged against us. My point is, you can have an iPhone, but you can still make other, mindful choices in your life. For example, I particularly think I have been always into YouTube. I always loved the platform. And most recently, the algorithm have changed a lot. And even in my personal feed, I noticed that I'm starting to get suggestions of content that I don't necessarily resonate with. So I think nowadays it's so important that you make sure to tailor and curate your feeds of any social media, of any platform that you engage. Not that you create a bubble so that you only see what you agree, because that's another danger, in my opinion. In certain platforms, like for example YouTube, for me, I don't really want to deal with stuff that I don't necessarily agree. But when I feel like I want to have a look at what's happening in areas where it would be a blind spot for me, I seek alternative media, and sometimes in different languages even, so that I can read and understand what's going on and issues that are domestic in the place I live from different perspectives, and hopefully less biased. And if you do your own research, you'll see that it's feasible and it's possible to do that, and to engage, to stay informed with what's happening, but without necessarily falling victim of this, I want to say brainwashing, but am I exaggerating? I'm not sure. You tell me that. If you think we're being brainwashed with the media, what's going on nowadays, mention below in the comments. But anyway, I definitely know that the systems constantly work conditioning us. So my point of this video here today is really to, first of all, share how I feel about what's going on today and what's happening in the world, and share how it has been affected me, and share how I think we all have been conditioned to be in this situation. But at the same time, remember myself, maybe, and all of us, that we are not that powerless. We still can choose and opt out from giving attention to what is not worth it. And trust me, there is a lot of content out there. There is a lot of people out there that are not worth it, our time, not a single moment of our attention. So on that way, you are acting from a more powerful stance. And as insignificant as that might seem to you, for me just saying this, you will see, if you do that over time, not long, but over a period of days even, you will realize that you will feel more together, more centered, more grounded, and more sure of yourself. We have more clarity of what's the next step you need to take, or if you have a problem in your life, how you can evaluate and establish the best way forward. At least that has been my experience. And I guess it goes without saying that by me suggesting to curate your feed and don't be overly engaged or doom scrolling, to just suddenly become numb to what's happening, because to me that's like bypassing life. Is like, you do have a choice, you do have a voice, you have value, you're important, you matter. Do you know why? Because everything has been said already out there, but no one ever said like you. No one ever did things like you. So it doesn't really matter who you are. It doesn't really matter what other people think. No one ever experienced life in the way you do. So you matter. So being numb serves nobody. Just, unfortunately, it does take away your ability to experience the life fully as you could, as you have an option to, as you are able to. So shift your mindset from doom scrolling, complaining, blaming, from building your skills, emotional resilience, emotional development. We all can always do it more. We all came to this world, and I'm not sure, maybe there are some few special exemptions out there, but we come to this world in a system that is not really designed to help us to have enough emotional intelligence. And I feel personally that that kind of resilience and intelligence is so fundamental for the life that we have nowadays, so that we can have the discernment to understand when to act, when not to act, and what to engage and what not to engage. And by doing all that and building your skills, you are strengthening yourself, and you're prepared for anything really that it might come along. In this world that we live, I realize there is not a lot that we can control, but you can control your mindset, how you think. You can control how you respond to choose feeling a sense of self-belief rather than fear, rather than disengagement or numbness or being completely manipulated. The reality is that is the real choice you have.